in this week, we never took any trades because the price was moving too fast, right? So by the 4 hour, if we were to look, initially I was looking for price to retest in this towards this demand by the extreme and then push higher, but it respected the previous candle before the demand. So when price pushed higher, what I was looking for was then if price can break above this high here, particularly this high, because it had a supply area waiting for it, right? So we had this supply area. If we broke above the supply, I was looking for a retest towards one of these extreme demand areas to take price towards this supply area by the extreme. So this supply area here, right? This supply area. Initially, I was looking for this pullback, but since I never got that move, I ended up leaving JPY, right? So once we did that, throughout the week, I saw that price had respected this demand area, but when I tried to join, I couldn't because we hadn't broken clearly below this thingy low here. So what I was looking for initially was to take price from this area, to take price from here, then extend it towards this extreme area here by the 1 hour. So it would have been this one, right? So my idea was to initially take price there, but since we hadn't broken clearly below this low, price ended up respecting this area but immediately pulled lower towards the range. And the reason why I hadn't taken this also was because it had happened in New York. By New York, I don't usually trade this currency pair because the volume isn't as large, even though here it was. But here it was because of news, right? So my idea was throughout the week, I would look to catch maybe a tiny sell trade from one of the supply areas here towards the demand by the 1 hour. But every time we retested, we never really fulfilled any demand. So we had missed this demand, right? Then we broke this low here. We broke this low. Then you see right here, there's no clear demand. So usually I just jump to the 30-minute to see if we have a clear demand. And we had this demand here, which price never fulfilled, right? So as you can see, like price was moving too inefficiently for me to take any entry. So we had this demand. Also here, the only one I could catch was this one. I was looking for this extreme demand, right? To take price from this supply towards that 1 hour demand. But then price ended up respecting this candle here, this extreme candle, right? So it respected this candle and then pushed lower. And particularly the reason why I didn't join this demand was because of news. So NFP had kicked in right about here at during Friday. It kicked in right about here, and by that time I was out of the trade. I didn't want to risk price immediately shooting higher than pushing lower, because that would ruin the currency, the amount of money I have in my account, right? So I ended up ignoring this trade because of news, and then price tended towards the low. Then if you look throughout the week, there was this large demand, right? This demand which we had marked out earlier. We had this demand, then price immediately broke through with this large engulfing candle. So my idea for the next week would be something like, if price can respect this demand and then give me another confirmation, I could look to take price higher, right? But if price breaks below, we'll continue with the trade. So my idea is like this. Since I anticipate for price to move towards this extreme demand, I'm going to jump down to the 1 hour. Then if I were to delete most of these, so let's do this real quick. You see this demand area here. So this demand here, if we can get price to tap into this demand, then get a confirmation by the 5-minute. So a lower time frame trade by the 5-minute, we can look to target this swing low by the 1 hour or extend it towards the extreme demand. So once we get that, that's when I'll consider taking other trades. But other than that, we'll still remain we'll still be anticipating for price to go to the demand and wait until then. Then by Euro USD, right? Euro USD, Euro USD also price moved extremely bullish towards my area, but it didn't give me a nice confirmation. So initially what I wanted was for price to maybe push higher, then have a deep retracement, then a break below this low, right? So usually when I have a trade with supply or demand, I usually wait for this type of confirmation. But by Euro USD, we had this extreme bullish trend, then we failed to make a newer low, right? So right now we are stuck within this range. Then we pushed lower, right? So I couldn't really catch a sell trade because like right now I can tell that price is still bullish with this arrow. Price is still bullish and I couldn't catch a trade doing with this price action. But what I looked for was if we can maybe retrace this engulfing candle, right? You see these two candles here, for to mark them out. This two candles, right? This sell candle here is an engulfing candle. If price had retested this area, I would have tried to look for confirmation entry, maybe towards this 1 hour demand, then anticipate some kind of reversal to push price lower. But price moved extremely bearish again with this move here. So as soon as we turned bearish, we immediately pushed lower, right? So we immediately pushed lower and we never readjusted back up. And with that, we also had these liquidity trend here with this liquidity trend line and a demand area, a supply area right above it. So initially I thought price was going to, with news, I thought price was going to retrace up, then push towards the swing low, but price ignored and tended towards the swing low fast. So this was a missed idea by Euro USD. But if you took an aggressive trade, you could have caught a nice risk to reward. So if you took this aggressive trade, you could have maybe aimed for the midway of the supply, stops above the supply, and then immediately aim for the swing low, and then get a risk reward of 7, or if you like to join by the edge of the supply, you would have gotten a 4. So if you like aggressive entries, you could have caught this risk to reward. But I like to enter conservatively. So that's why I don't like that's why I didn't like this idea. But next week what I'm looking for is for price to maybe tend towards one of these zones, then give me a confirmation. So if I get a confirmation either here or there, I would look to take price towards the swing low, because we wicked below the swing low, which I see as a sweep of liquidity, right? So usually I see this as a liquidity sweep, and once that happens, usually price retests towards one of the supply areas. So I would like for price to join by the extreme, because we had this nice engulfing before the push down. We also had an engulfing here, but since this is by the extreme, it's a safer option compared to this one, which is by the midway of this range. GBPCHF, right? What I had looked for throughout the week was I was looking for the reaction towards this demand area, and for price to push higher towards this swing high, this lower swing high, right? So this one here, I was looking for price to respect this, then continue higher, right? So when I was looking at this, I was looking at this by the 1 hour. So by the 1 hour, right, we had this break. We had the break above the range we talked about throughout the weekend, right? So throughout the weekend, I had explained that I want price to break above this range and then immediately retest towards my area, then push higher. So once that happened, what I had looked for, I had set a buy limit from this area here, and then the stops were below this low. It was slightly higher, so it was something like this. So with stops below this low, and then we push towards this swing, right? So that was my idea at first. So once we saw that, I was waiting for price to retest my zone, but it ended up retesting the last candle before the impulse. So we respected this zone here, right? So once we respected that zone, we immediately pushed up with this engulfing, then we tended towards the upside, right? So I was initially looking for this idea, but then I had waited throughout the week. I was waiting for price to maybe break below this trend line, then push higher. But we never got that. We only got the break of the trend line when we're by the swing high, right? And by the swing high, when we're by the swing high, we had this demand here, right? So once we had respected this demand and I saw this massive push to the downside, so I saw this massive push, right? I saw this massive push. So price was here first. I saw this massive push. I removed my sell limit because I anticipated for price to respect this supply area and tend towards my demand. So what I was looking for a confirmation now by the demand area, right? So something like this. So this is what I was looking for. So this acted as my area of interest, and that was the reaction, right? And the reason why I didn't immediately jump to a sell was because price was still majorly bullish and I didn't want to go against the trend for this currency pair, right? So I waited for price to tend towards this demand and then push higher. But we really aggressively broke through this demand and then continued to the downside, right? So this idea ended up failing. But the initial idea did work. It's just we reacted from the zone, from the candle right above my demand area. So I could say that my demand area was too refined for me to catch this sell entry. But me focusing on these supply areas by the extreme, we avoided a loss because we anticipated that price was going to reverse towards our downside, and aggressively it did and broke through our demand after reacting to the supply. And one of my rules is, if price reacts from a key level, I remove my buy or sell limit. So for example, let's say we were uptrending, right? So we have a push like this to the upside. So we have a push like this. Then I anticipate like price to reverse, right? So right now price is just reversing, and this acts as the swing high. This acts as the swing high, and let me just do this real quick. So that would act as the swing high, and then clone, and then this, let's say at this point here, that's going to be the swing low, right? If for example we have a demand area down here, right? We have this demand, but for example, I was looking for like a sell trade by the lower time frame. So imagine this is like the 4 hour. This major currency, this major line is the 4 hour, but we're anticipating like sell trades by like the lower time frame, so like the 15, right? So something like this. So imagine this is the 4 hour, this is the major 4 hour, but this is the 15, right? So this here is the 15. My rule is, let's say we have this as our supply area, but then price immediately respects the 4 hour, right? If it respects the 4 hour, I ignore the sell limit I would have placed here, right? If I had placed a sell limit from maybe this zone, from maybe like this zone here, and towards the supply. If we respect a major, like a key level, so this supply, I remove this sell limit and use it as a confirmation. So now once price retests here, I'll be looking for a confirmation entry by this, just to look for a tiny trade down. So that's one of my rules, so that you avoid fighting this aggressive push, because now it says that the buyers are stronger and price could respect and move towards the swing high of the 4 hour. So if you're looking for like a counter trend by the lower time frames, which I really don't consider as a counter trend, but if we respect the 4 hour demand, there's no reason for me to look for a sell towards like the 15-minute supply, as the 4 hour demand is now in control and can push price higher to form a new swing high. So with that idea, once I saw this demand, the supply area by the extreme get respected, that's when I removed my buy limit and focused on looking for other sell trades. But if, for example, I was in this trade, so we had been tapped in and then price continued moving higher, price moved higher towards the supply, what I would have looked for, I would have put my stop loss right below here, right below this low here. And if price had broken below, I would have collected the profits of the move when price was above this low. So if price broke here, I would have been stopped out, but I would have collected the profits for this whole move here. And that would have been the idea. So we avoided a loss, but we weren't triggered into the entry, and that was a failed trade by GBPCHF. So by gold, we're initially looking for buy, right? So once we tapped into this area, what I was looking for was a confirmation. So initially, I think gold was the one trade I truly did miss, because once we tapped into this area, what I was looking for was a break above this high where the supply area was, where there was this supply area, right? So I needed a break above the supply for me to take buys, or else I anticipate the price to push lower. So since we broke about the supply, when I was looking at the trade, I had missed this whole move here. So from here, right up to here, up to here, up to here, this was the move I had entirely missed. So the first move I missed was at this time, right? From here to there, I wasn't in the market. So from this move, we had tapped in, then we continue consolidating before moving higher. So this move I hadn't missed, because around 12, so for my time, around from 12 to 4, I wasn't in this what's this? I wasn't looking at the markets. I was outside, right? So once we did that, we immediately pulled back, right? So as you can see, we pulled back later. So around 9 o'clock, that's when we had this supply area. And also by that time, I was also busy. I hadn't placed the buy limit here. So I was not in this market. So right now I had missed 2 entries by gold. Here, I had missed this entry here, and I also missed this entry here by gold, right? And these were all valid entries. These were all valid entries. That was the second one. Then there was another entry I had missed, just right here, right here. I think it was somewhere here actually. If you to zoom down to the 15, it was here. I remember. Where was it? With this push up, we broke above this high. There was an entry somewhere here. I just don't remember if it was down here, if it was down here exactly, or if it was up here, right? Or if it was up there, or slightly higher. But I remember I missed 3 entries by gold. 3. The first one was because for these ones, I wasn't at home. I wasn't at home for this one. And this one, it had happened later throughout the night. So it was like 9 p.m. And I wasn't looking at the charts by then. Then when we woke up around 10, like so the kick of London, we'd missed this entry because I wasn't looking at this time frame. I was by the 1 hour. So as you can see, wait, by the 1 hour we were here, right? We were here, and I wasn't looking at this price action. Like when we were here, I was not concentrating on this price action. Then price tended towards the upside. So right now, if you're to look, I had marked out this arrow because we have this imbalance right here, and I was hoping for price to move towards this imbalance and push to the upside. But these ideas did work. So if you're someone looking keenly on gold, you could have taken 3 entries. You could have taken this entry from here towards maybe this supply, right? This entry towards the supply, and also the same thing. So towards the supply and also towards the supply, right? And as you can see, all of them give you a reward of 3 to 6. So 6, 3, 3. So all of these were good trades. I just missed all of them, which is a genuine shame. But I'm hoping that the trend continues, and by the start of Monday, we get an immediate pullback towards this range. And then I'm looking for a nice engulfing candle to push price higher. So if we get an engulfing, what I'm looking for, right, I'm looking to take, I might look to take 2 aggressive trades right after the engulfing. So one would be here, and my target for this would be to aim for the swing high, the 4-hour swing high, right? So if I to zoom down, we have this extreme swing high right here. So it's an aggressive trade. It's an aggressive trade, but with all this like efficient price action, I anticipate for gold to respect this demand and then push higher. If we get that nice push, I can actually just jump down to the 15, look for the engulfing, and then join by the engulfing towards the upside so that I can catch this nice trade. And then if I were to zoom it down, I would extend my stop loss or anticipate that price moves towards this candle here. So this candle, and then stops, I'll put it slightly below this low. I'll put it slightly here. And the reason why I'm putting it below this low and not this one and not this low is because of news. So I think around this time, like news had already kicked in and forced price to push higher. And with one of my what I've noticed, right, like whenever news does this, I used to just ignore the last week and focus on the recent high below it, like this high here. So it would usually either be this low or this low here, right? So whenever I focus on price action, I usually ignore the candle or the wick caused by news and focus on other lows. So this low and these lows, and my stop loss would be slightly below this low. And if I to zoom down, we get like a risk to reward of 3. You see, that's what I usually focus on. So this is going to be a refined area and stops below the low. So right now I'm anticipating for price to move down, then higher to catch this trade.